Where Allan Gitau is here, the founder of Kikuyu Love Sessions. Allan.
Hi guys.
Hello. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
You'll tell us a lot about this love sessions and why. I mean, where did it begin? Where did it? What brought it up? But first, listen to our girl, good girl Jano.
Good girl Jano.
We call her Jano Amakuts.
Jano Amakuts.
Because she goes and looks at what people have said previously.
Yeah.
It could be very, very world-renowned people, or it could just be Allan Gitau, who was not known then, but is now known. And she asks us who said it.
Who said it? This person, as I mentioned earlier, was an anti-apartheid activist. In the 70s, he really was seen as the youth leader of the future. Unfortunately, like a lot of powerful young leaders, his life was cut short. From South Africa. He said the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Who said that? Mariam, Latif, Allan.
The most potent weapon.
You say he was a young person?
He was a young freedom fighter in the 70s. South Africa. I've seen Latif Ashaweka the full face. And it's one of these. When we say who said that, it's really not supposed to be an examination.
Yeah.
It's really just to put out the names of people behind powerful quotes, which still hold true.
He shares a name with, you said?
He shares a name with...
It's a she.
It's a he.
Oh, it's a he.
It's a he. How do we describe the one that we are talking about here?
He's a writer.
He's a writer. He's a writer. He's really known, at least or previously known, for writing articles, especially pertaining to men.
Right.
Right? Men's issues, men's conversations. He's diversified since, but I know he kind of pioneered that genre. So those who know, do we say on the count of three? Okay, it was Steve Biko.
Steve Biko.
Steve Biko, South Africa. And he said that in the 70s.
It should be on a t-shirt somewhere.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yes. The way Siwezi mix love na taxes, we need to put some other quotes as well. But this one is very relevant also.
Right?
Yeah. Do not undermine it.
I just need to find the first person
said
who came.
that? Who said
That's the thing. I don't know. It's just been an internet-like thing. Now the problem is attribution, because you try to find the original, the very first tweet, for example, that says Siwezi mix love na taxes.
Yes.
But if you know, please let me know.
Yeah, let us
Tag
know.
me at Mariam Bishar. Alafu mtuambie hashtag fixing the nation. Who said Siwezi mix love na taxes?
Such a nice line.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, you're worth how many billions? We were talking about Kimani Ichung'wah's
How about zero?
Well, you're definitely worth something for being here.
Billion.
0 billion, but a
Zero
whole lot
point
of
something.
hearts and a whole lot of vision for the...
Yes, vision, yes.
Yes, vision, yes. Ma,
like
you
that.
know what? Talk to us about that. I know that Latif had the honor and pleasure of attending the Kikuyu Love Sessions, is what you call it.
Yeah.
You are the one who conceptualized this idea. Tell us a little bit about what it is, who you are, and why this vision came to you.
All right. So, yeah, my name is Allan Gitau. I'm more of a creative than an event organizer. So Kikuyu Love Sessions was born out of, it's not what it is today that started it. It was really inspired by the new wave of new Kikuyu artists. You guys should have them on sometime. They're really, really dope people. So one of them, who's a really, really close pal of mine, his name is Wanjine, sent me some music way back in 2022 at some time, still unreleased, but the music was fire. It was something I've never heard before. And so it came to me, why can't we have like a Kikuyu love sessions? Because the songs were mostly love songs. And then the idea was to try and show the romantic side of Kikuyu. So that was the initial idea. So we went ahead and executed the first show. But after the first show, we realized that what we got out of it was not what we went into it thinking. Because there was a lot of love, a lot of wellness, and a lot of positivity among everyone who attended. Not so many people. I had around 70 to 80 guys who came for the
that's amazing.
first event.
Yeah.
So now it morphed into promoting love, wellness, and positivity through culture, which we then realized that those are tenets that are so popular among like Gen Z and millennials. Like mental health is a big thing. Like going to the gym, relationships, those are tenets that are very, very strong among like Gen Z and millennials. And I think that's one of the reasons why it kind of took off.
Right.
Yeah.
you realizing that, oh my gosh, people care about, their wellness, and of course they want to feel happy and in love and in tune with themselves and their creator. Like that moment, did you feel it? Did you feel like that? Because you can be creating something for someone else, or you can be creating for yourself and then it accidentally touches someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So initially, no, because when you are planning these things, you're just running around. You're not really feeling what the audience is feeling. So most of these things are just feedback. So after the first show, I think it was because it was very, very intimate, very, very few people. So those emotions were really heightened. So it's feedback from the guys who came to the first show. Was like, man, you guys have something here. Like it's more than what. Because the first show happened at around Valentine's weekend, and that's why we are trying to push for the romantic side of vernacular. But then the guys who came now, the feedback was, this is more than that. There's something bigger than what maybe you guys thought initially when you were coming into it. So I'd say it's just grew into itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that, organic.
Yeah.
Who's the audience?
The audience is everyone. The last show had everyone, literally. We had Caucasians, we had Luos, we had Kambas. Actually, the guys who did our sound engineering are not even Kikuyu. So it's basically a show for everyone. Yeah. But if you were to narrow down and get like a bullseye audience, I'd say a millennial lady. I think it's because of the name Love. Yeah. So I'd say a millennial lady. We tend to get a lot of audience from that category.
I like that.
I can see how, speaking as a millennial lady. No, I
You're
can.
the TA of like, I'm the TA. Yeah.
No, I think our identities have been defined for us for such a long time. And a lot of people are finding there's a gap. There's a sense of, but who am I? Beyond being positioned as this top 40 under 40 boss person, mama so-and-so. There's so many roles you carry, and within that, especially as you get older, you really begin to crave a sense of community and identity. And as somebody who fully understands that, I can see why that would be your audience. And also, at a certain age, there's a lot of inhibitions that just leave you. Now you're a bit more aware. So you can say, you know what, I'm open to love in this way. I'm open to community in this way without inhibitions. Mazen Ingenda. Feb 15th. I'm even trying to think, like, what was I doing? There'll be more.
No, there'll be more, for sure. You should see our DMs.
When is the next one? When is the next one?
When is the next one? When is the
To
next one?
go to the next one.
Yeah, but there was also a younger demographic, right?
No, for sure. You see, unlike us, who are, I'd say, more millennials and Gen Z. Gen Zs are very, very direct with what they want, and they want to know themselves. When you look at like us guys when we were growing up, you couldn't speak Swahili fluently, you can't speak mother tongue fluently. Then who are you? You know, what's your identity? If the language from where you come from you can't speak fluently, then you don't have an identity. But you're seeing these younger audiences, they're just like, no. Me, I want to learn.
I want to learn.
And not just Kikuyu. Before I learn French and German and Spanish, I want to learn Luo. I want to learn Kamba. Yeah. So we are getting a lot of young people who are, they prefer to learn their local languages first before they think about like European languages, for example.
I hadn't heard like. Very recently, I met someone who's a language coach, but for Kikuyu. And I was like, And she was like, and I was like, where do you teach? And she's naming, Nairobi's very affluent neighborhoods, and people are there going to class daily, the same way you go to Alliance Française to learn French. So there's a power in language, but then there's also like the fact that music transcends like language. It's a nice melody, it's a beat, it's a vibe, and you feel it, right? Where does all of this like eventually lead us? Because it's not just Kikuyu love sessions, it's everybody singing in their mother tongue, in the Luo, in Luya, or just infusing it kidogo apa. What's the end game like for our music industry when we do more of these?
That's a good question. I saw a tweet and I agree with it after our show, and it said the next big musical export from Kenya is going to be a vernacular singer. And I think that's where we are headed.
We already have Mwaki.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
Exactly. Boom. There you go. So it's gonna. That is. We're gonna take Samburu. We are going to take Tholuo. We are going to take Kikuyu. We are going to take Kamba international. The same way we sing Burna Boy's songs from I forget the Igbo, not Igbo. What is what's
Igbo?
Yes. And I think he's going to be in town this weekend. Yeah? So the same way we sing those songs, it's the same way we should be able to export our languages as well. And we are seeing it with young artists. Like they're not shy of singing in Kikuyu, and they're saying this is how I feel most authentic as an artist. When I sing in my mother tongue, without feeling judged. A while back, if you didn't have that twang when you're singing, you know, but I think we've kind of moved away from that.
There's less judging. You know, there's a political connection to where we are at right now. If you think about it, Lingala and Rumba were common in Kenya. KBC would play Lingala music. People sing. Today, where Rumba is so popular is because people grew up listening to that on radio. People grew up listening to Kina Pepe Kale, Kina TPOK, jazz, all those. And that's why people are like, Muziki Bila Jasho. It's what you grew up. You're socialized with Rumba. We're socialized with Kina Sanfan Thomas and others, Kina Music Time. It was just, and Utna and the shows that Fred Obachi was doing. And it was bringing music from other parts of Africa and the world and not necessarily promoting vernacular. It was political. Because music communicates to the soul.
Yeah, it does.
Music connects people. And so if you just think about it, maybe it was not written down anywhere, but there must have been some political decision to suppress vernacular music and not have it, you know,
mainstream
and not mainstream it. Yeah. So you had all those guys, Kina Sukuma Binongaro, who were singing Kenyan, they were singing Kenyan Rumba, but singing in Swahili. Kina Kakai Kilonzo, very good Kamba singer, but he was singing his music that was getting airplay was a Swahili music, right? And then that opens up, and now we start hearing. We started getting vernacular radio stations, and they're playing all this music. We hear Luo, the Kamba, how there's the Kikuyu started, you know, and there's now all this music. So we have a generation of old vernacular musicians, and now we have a generation of younger vernacular musicians. And when Eric Wainaina did his song of Retoriaku, and it was this
guy,
guy,
in my head, like literally right
this
now.
guy who has gone to study in Berkeley music, and now he's come back home, and he was part of the Five Alive, and he's now singing Retoriaku, and it connected because of the way it's been, you know, arranged and all. It's different from the Benga guitar, but he still had to look for how to infuse the Kabenga beat, you know, the guitar into his music because there's a connection. And now he is a younger generation again that's now connecting. Kina Wanjine and the others, they are singing with the Kikuyu that they know, or in the Luo that they know, and the Luo that they know is not that deep Shag's cute because they didn't grow up in that deep Shag's cute. So there's another whole connection with the people who speak like them.
I think
like,
so. It's liberating. I think maybe you may or may not know it, but what you've unlocked is a sense of liberation. And I think people do ensure that vernacular, it had to be suppressed because it's what brings people together. It can cause, it can overturn things. I remember the click song in the Xhosa culture in South Africa. When it starts, it's like a call, it's like an army call outer. This woman just starts ululating and saying it in Xhosa, and people in comments are always like, I don't even know what she's saying, but my spirit came alive. It's scary for oppressors. It's very scary. And so now, I think there's a beauty. And for some of us who are in that weird mix of, you were told Kizungu Mingi is what will sell, and it did. But also, feeling a sense of, I don't know if shame is the word, that you missed out on really understand. Hey, Siri amejam.
Siri amekasirika. She's like, I'm having trouble.
Siri, stop oppressing us.
Because how do you start talking about culture and then Siri is like, I'm having trouble with the connection.
The infiltrators are in the studio.
That's crazy.
So there's a sense of, so now, that desire that maybe we had, but we couldn't say out loud, Kikuyu Love Sessions then allows you to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And I think it's a space where you can come as you are, even if you're saying Nekwega Muno,
Yes.
and people are just like, it's okay, we won't judge you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of liberating. Have people come back to you, almost like to Mariam's question, she talked about the end game. Yeah. Did people come back to you and talk about what it awakened in them or how it opened them up? What were people saying to you?
Yeah, so there was that. There was a lot of awakening, as you said, and just before even going to your question, there's something that we usually think about even when we're coming up with like creative ideas for our show. We usually say it's not about the tribe, it's about the vibe, because if we make it tribal, then we lose what the essence of what we're trying to, what our mission is really. So our work is to just take the culture and give it a vibe, make it really, really nice. And now to your question about the awakening, we would like, we consider ourselves as the starting point of culture. So think about the kid who's probably studied abroad all their lives, but they are Kikuyu and they want to be in touch with their roots. We should be the first stop, because you come as you are. Probably you hear, you don't speak. You know, there's a lot of that, yeah.
Naelewa lakini siwezi ongea.
Lakini siwezi ongea. Yeah. So we are the starting point. Like we are literally the come as you are, find yourself here. Yeah.
Are urban audiences playing catch up? Because all these are things that are happening in like a select group of people, because vernacular music has been popping through and through. People have been listening to their mother tongue and going to concerts. It's just that they're not concerts at the Alchemist or they've been doing it. So are urban audiences just playing catch up, quote unquote?
I would say yes, but also if you look at the people who are going to concerts nowadays, they know everything. They've been to your blankets and wine. They know what a good concert is. So if you're going to put together a vernacular show, you might as well raise the bar.
Okay.
So it's not really catch up. It's more like the audiences who we are trying to talk to know a lot.
Okay.
They'll see what happens at Grammys and the kind of production that goes into those events, and they yearn for such kind of productions or events are done here. So whether it's a vernacular or a...
I see it. So I see. So what the quote-unquote new urban audience is doing is raising the bar for production, for concerts, for music, for Nana. And then what the vernacular music is doing is giving them a connection to their culture. So it's come as you are with your rich Aku
and it makes a very good mix.
Like a nice mix. And what that means then, of course the question will be, are there other such concerts that then bring in musicians from other communities, or is the Kikuyu Love Session also going to bring in, other musicians, or has it brought other musicians from other communities to sing? I know Eric Wenena sang his Luo song, his Kikuyu song. I know even the other artists were there, were singing all other kind of music. But what's the future for like bringing together all these young people who just want to connect? So I don't have to. I can go in there and I'll connect with. There was a Kamba guy who came and he was singing Kao, and I groove to it because I know that music, and also get into London. Well, let's talk about that after the break. It's 7:30. We are speaking to Allan Gitau. He's a founder of the Kikuyu Love Sessions. It's a concert that brings in young audiences. He says the typical audience is millennial lady. Is Janet.
Janet.
Who
comes there to say Nidoka.
I will take it hotter.
I will not even deny it. I will not.
But what is that saying actually about the younger audiences, the Gen Z, the millennial, and their reconnection with the culture, with the identity? What's that doing to ourselves as a nation? How we are fixing it. We are fixing somehow. Remember, we are on X Space today. So those who are following us on X are on X Space, and the conversation that will be coming after 8 a.m. is the Shifty rollout, the Shifty Shah rollout, and we'll be asking you what's your take. All these people are online. Thank you very much, Magic Clem, Emily, Polycarp, Russell, Latif Cartel, nani huyo sasa, Eunice, Rita Safari, karibuni sana. In the next hour, we'll be having the CEO of the Social Health Authority. We'll also be having the leadership of the healthcare associations, plus you. And the focus is you. Speak to all these doctors and tell them what your pain points are when it comes to our healthcare system. What's working, what's not working with SHIF and SHA. Those who are saying, let's go back to NHIF, why, how, and so on and so forth. But before that, more conversations with Allan. Keep it here.
What's up, nation? My name is Judith. I am at Enosidan Primary School, Majimoto, Narosura Ward, Narok County. We started with this kind of classrooms, and now we've upgraded to this. With the help of our leaders, I am fixing the nation by bringing schools closer to our children.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaac Miruri from Nairobi. And I'm urging all the Gen Zs and millennials to come together with their generational unique issues for a common effort and a common objective of a future solution.
What's up, nation? This is Mahmoud Ali, Muhammad Reza Jagani from Wadamu right now. I was just watching your program about the 15 billion trees target. It reminds me to add value. Please run a search on hashtag April Cool Day. This is a globe narrative changing concept that can help take this movement forward. Thank you.
Ati, run a search on hashtag April Fool's Day.
Okay.
Maybe by hour 4 we'll have decoded his
we'll
entire
have understood
message.
exactly what
So it's like
saying.
3 messages in one, but thank you,
Yes.
Ali, and Judith
Ali.
and Isaac. Thank
Yes, asante sana. Send us your videos on WhatsApp Nation. This is where we say, okay, let's fix the nation together. Tell us where you are. Tell us your name, where you are, what's happening around you, what you're doing to fix the nation, what you'd like to see fixed. If there's a fix that you recommend, you can even come out and say, you know, this is what I recommend. In this area of ours, we don't have classrooms, and I recommend that we move the village. Or we fire the chief, or, you know, whatever, you know. What is it that you'd like to see to fix your neighborhood and the country at large? How do you send a video?
You, of course, send it to 0112 500 400, 0112 500 400. Eric has actually given me some ideas as far as fixing the nation. I'll send mine as well. And once you do that, of course, we'll be more than happy to play it. If you're thinking bundles, again, the smarter bundle is the one for you. It comes courtesy of Airtel. 1,000 bob gets you 30 GB of data. Again, 30 GB of data. You can use 1 GB a day comfortably and you'll be okay. You will TikTok, you will Snapchat, you will filter until you're tired. But of course, 30 GB of data is plenty. And you also get 400 minutes for any network, to talk to any network, and 3,000 from Airtel to Airtel. Of course, even if you're thinking of going and looking at what happened at the previous Kikuyu Love Sessions, use that bundle, Pia. We're in studio with Allan Gitau, discussing matters Gen Z Renaissance and culture. When you say a renaissance, it implies there was a death at some point.
yeah, kind of.
Was there? That's where I want to start. Was there?
That's
Yeah.
a good
Was there a
question.
death
I
of
know
culture?
we can bring Allan into it as well to ask him, but yeah, there was. I think just before during the break we were talking, and I was saying, Mariam, or just younger people, I feel, are just a lot more unapologetic about reclaiming culture. Death of it was just maybe an oppression of it. We were talking about how you could speak Swahili once a week.
Once a week in school, yes.
Sisi tuliambiwa nikupate.
Ukiongea.
You weren't
You
allowed.
went to carry that. Those
Monto.
like the monto.
Monto.
Yeah,
The
for
monto.
speaking.
Yeah.
For speaking in your national language.
Exactly. So being a person of culture came with shame, which is, I think, one of the worst punishments you can give someone, because that's who I am.
Yeah.
But then that's how we were socialized. So you grow up carrying elements of that shame, and then trying to find your way into navigating out of it, but still holding true, because did it benefit you? Probably. If with a lot of kizungu mingi, unauliza kuja you, and you're like, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a very confusing thing. But when you sit with it, and now even for my sons, I've told them I'm enrolling them in Kikuyu classes.
Yes.
You know, I was very intentional.
What was
about
the
saying,
reception?
no, Sasa, they don't have a choice. Dad and I were like, Caesar, this is what will happen.
Sweet
And
Januni dictator nyumbani, guys.
the dad was very big on it. It's just like, because we didn't have that advantage. So death may sound like a big word, but in many ways,
It's true.
I think what Allan is doing is kind of...
It's reviving it.
It's reviving
I think there
it.
was a recession. I agree.
Recession.
There was a big dip. Even us guys, when we were going to school, it's just the same thing. I mean, do not try as much as possible to just speak English. And it's just trying to push you towards that. But then you find in areas that were cosmopolitan, there was that whole issue of, I mean, so what's the language? The common language then would be Swahili or English. In rural areas, you're speaking all this Monto thing in school, but immediately you leave the gate, you switch to your vernacular. Because you go home, your first language, your mother tongue, your first language was a vernacular language. Then in the urban kids, the first language is the Swahili or English. And then the vernacular now becomes, one of those things that even the parents are not speaking it at home, so they don't get to learn it and all. And I remember a friend of mine telling me about how her daughter, who's now is a millennial but older, grew up this way in an urban household. The parents are Kikuyu and they speak a lot of Kikuyu, but the children they speak to their children in the mother tongue kidogo, and the kids are like, they respond in English or they respond in Swahili. This girl went to study abroad, and now she was in South Africa and she meets with these other Africans. These guys from this country, and they're speaking their mother tongue, and people are speaking their identity. Kenyans, there are Luo Kenyans who are switching to Luo. There are Kikuyu Kenyans who are switching to Kikuyu. And when you're now speaking common, you speak the English or Swa. And this girl was like, oh my God, I'm not fitting into any of these groups. She came back home and said, enroll me for Kikuyu classes. I want to learn the language. My own daughter is in the same space. She's like, kept telling her, identity, you need to understand it. Now, she's the one who says, I'm speaking the language, the mother tongue. So there was a recession, and there's now that renaissance of now people saying, I want to connect. And the thing about it is, it's the identity.
100%.
They say, speak to me in my mother tongue, and you speak to my soul.
Boom.
So there's that reconnection with your identity and who you are. And that helps to build this whole thing as a country. As we're saying, we are fixing the nation. We are fixing the nation and the togetherness. Tribalism is not necessarily a bad thing. It's when we politicize tribalism and we weaponize tribalism, that's a bad thing. People speaking,
their mother tongue.
It's okay. We sing Okello Marx's songs. And we just don't know what he's saying.
A shout out to Okello Marx. He's such a dope artist. You're right. And just the recent Kikuyu Love Sessions, one of the artists who's a really, really close friend to the show, her name is Moringe. She brought out Shad Muziki in her set. Shad Muziki does Kamba music, but he does Kamba music in the new way. He gives it a vibe. And audiences were really happy to see him on stage. That's a Kamba artist. So you see, it goes back to what we're saying. It's not about the tribe, it's about the vibe. And it's not necessarily because a lot of people who haven't maybe experienced the show before feel like it's a show for certain people. It's a show for Kikuyus, but it's not. It's a show for everyone. Just come and enjoy it,
and vibe and feel. Scalability is something that people worry about so much when they're in the music business, because they're always like, okay, will urban tone go to the rest of Africa? Will Kikuyu Love Sessions be able to transcend for quote unquote the Kikuyu Gen Z person or Kenya as a whole? Is that something that you've ever worried about, or your family, in belief that we're moving and nothing is stopping us?
No, that's what keeps us up at night, to be honest. Like, who's our next audience? And how can we capture that without losing who we are? Because essentially we are promoting love, wellness, and positivity through vibrant Kikuyu culture, right? So this Kikuyu culture should be able to transcend beyond just someone who speaks Kikuyu. And the new wave of artists, and shout out to the new wave of Kikuyu artists, because, and I'm going to plug in shamelessly 2 albums, one called Back to Basics by Moringe, and another one called Superstar by Arosh. They are Kikuyu, they have more Kikuyu songs in them, but no matter who listens to them, you get to enjoy them. So by artists continually creating music, because it has to start from the artist. Allan is just the guy who
facilitates and
just a curator.
I'm just a curator. I'm just a curator, but it has to start from the artists. They're the ones who get to studio, know how to package their art in a way that talks to more than just someone who understands the language. Yeah.
Is there demand for, and we talked about it earlier, classes, people are like, Vilo Manza, this Kikuyu Love Sessions, is there space for us to learn more about the culture, learn the language? Is there demand to go beyond just the music, to people really rooting themselves in all the elements of culture?
Yeah, and so one of the areas that we're really looking at is like podcasting, for example, because the content that's there is already very heavy geared towards someone who knows and understands deep Kikuyu. So if you can have a session like this, where it's Kikuyu, but it's for the person who can hear but not necessarily speak, make it very, very urban.
Kikuyu light, yani.
Kikuyu light. If you can have such a platform, I mean, you get to, you can only just grow the community.
Will there be Kamba Love Session, Masai Love Session, or is it
for sure.
Kikuyu Love Session is the umbrella?
No, for sure. That's the next our next phase of like curation.
A community is built like, one step at a time. What are the things that you love about the community that you're creating so far, and what do you think is the next input into the community? Who do you think is the next group coming into this like umbrella of yours?
I think what I really like about our community so far, our audiences, we actually call them lovebirds or lovers.
I like lovebirds.
Nice.
Is that they're just like the best crop of human beings.
To love. Wow. So sweet. Sorry, I just had
having a moment.
I just had a moment. Go on.
No, they're just like the best crop of humans. We've had shows where we have to end exactly at 10 p.m. And the show ends at 10 and everyone just walks out and goes home. No mashidas, no saying at we want one more song. They're very, just like, we just have like the best crop. And I think Eric experienced it. Just have like the best, it's like the best bill of of people to come to our show is our audiences, and we really, really appreciate them for that. And who we are looking at to bring on board more is not necessarily your Kikuyu. Come and experience what Kikuyu vibe is like, even though you're not Kikuyu, so you're looking at that. And also probably get more young men as well to come to the sessions as well. So
because you said it's a millennial woman.
Yes, a millennial lady.
Get some guys in there
let's get some guys in there as well. We try to do some fun stuff with our ticketing. Like if you're single, we give you like a different colored wristband so that you can come and meet someone. So that we can just try and bring everyone so that it's not a show for
It's expanding the community. How do you expand the other fixers of culture? Because you're bringing it from that, side where people are connecting using music. But then there are other things that we've talked about here, like people who just want to learn the language, people who want to learn the cultures. Somebody who, like you said, they want to now speak different languages. Yes, you were born. First of all, very many people are born, from this mixed parentage. So it's Kamba, Luo parents, Luo, Kikuyu parents, Somali. There are all these mixes, but people just want to know. I want to know about the Luo. I want to know, besides what we learned in school, and Luanda Magere and all. I just want to understand the culture of the Luo people. Are there such other fixers online? Because now the digital platforms are there, who are just creating content that teaches you about the Luo, and creating challenges from other cultures. Do you know of such other creators even you, Mariam. I know you spend your considerable amount of time on TikTok.
I do love a good TikTok. And the
have
challenge,
you come across such?
So many, to be quite honest. And I said, like, the first one that really struck me was a Toti just coming back into the fold. And I'm like, wait, this song was released 20 plus years ago. What's happening? But everyone doing that challenge was 18, 19, 20, 21. And they are loving it, singing bar for bar, word for word. So it is absolutely happening. And it does transcend, like, you know, your culture, your language. It's cool. I like it. It's a vibe. I'm going into it. I'll do the dance challenge, whatever it looks like, wherever it comes from. So yeah, but I know Allan is.
But there's, I know that I think I saw a lady at that festival, and somebody next to me said, I know this lady from TikTok, and she creates content. She comes actually and creates content around the Kikuyu culture. She comes to
specifically.
Yes, the one who led the Mother's March.
I think so, yeah.
I'm kind of
she
obsessed
creates
with
content
that. Yes,
around that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we have many of such people online as well who are creating such content. Like if today I'd like to know the culture of the Pokomo, I could go in online and I'll find somebody who's creating content just telling us about the Pokomo, their food, their traditional rites of passage, their, you know, how, you know, wedding ceremonies are conducted and so on and so forth. Because then that's where we are talking about now connecting into our cultures.
There's a need for that, to be honest, because right now the people leading that is mostly musicians and artists. And when it comes to art, actually, there's need, and that's also something we've identified. There's need for vernacular movies, and that is literally the next big thing, in my opinion, because music is easy to tap into because you can dance, but sitting down and watching a film made in Pokomo and talking about like their culture, like Eric is saying, that also unlocks something.
A different level.
Yeah. But to his question, so it's mostly been left to the artists. And there's need for more people to come on, and you don't, because TikTok is open for everyone. You could be 60 and you just go on live and tell people this is how our culture should act, and this is what this means, and this is what this name is about, and all that. So I think there's room for that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the creators I see creating around, especially in their mother tongue. It's usually almost always musical. So even if they're not musicians themselves, it'll be they'll translate a song for you and tell you, you know, what it's saying, or they'll just teach you something from the song, something that, you know, relates to the culture and things like that. So they'll tie in, but the anchor will usually be the music or some form of art. So unfortunately, as you say, like, it's been left to the artist. It seems that ni kama hiyo ndio kazi ya msanii, because it's your job.
It's up to you. But it shouldn't be. It should be up to all of us.
I think I also see platforms like Kikuyu Love Sessions, and again, we didn't see this. Actually, we heard tribe and only had a negative connotation because of how it's weaponized ahead of elections. Strange question, but how do you see this as well as an opportunity to have a healthy narrative around tribe and unity as we go into a pretty heavy election season?
It's a very, very good question, because that even affects how we do our communication. Because if you've noticed, we are very light and fun and polite and always having love hearts in like all our communications. It's because we don't want to have a connotation as though we are speaking to a specific person. Even the content we create is mostly either in Swahili or English, in the captions, stuff like that, just so that we can try and, like I said earlier, move from the tribe to the vibe, because we also know it's a pretty murky area, and it can easily lead to a path where was not what we thought about when we were putting this together.
Is that a fear you've had of it being co-opted? Because vernacular stations, for example, in 2007 they were co-opted more or less, right? So is that a fear that you have, and do you have, or have you thought of like any safeguards to keep the community, you know, happy, healthy, and safe? And
so one thing that we normally do, so on our stage, and this is something that we even do before shows, we make it exclusive that our stage is for musicians and artists only. Only, full stop. It's about the art. And you can come in if you are, in leadership and all these other things, but come in as an audience.
Hakuna kupewa mic.
Hakuna kupewa mic. Yeah.
To say something small.
No. So those are some of the guardrails that we have, and that will never change. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's intentionality behind that, because if politicians will co-opt a funeral, Sembuse concert, to be quite honest. We have to wrap up the conversation in a minute or so. But when you're thinking of now, expanding into other love sessions and things like that, how do we make sure that it doesn't just remain like, again, an urban thing, quote unquote, a Nairobi thing, Mombasa thing? How do we make it nationwide? And Africa-wide and worldwide?
Again, something that we are really thinking about, because we've gotten a lot of requests from people saying, this love sessions needs to get out of Nairobi. So that will require a lot of logistics. We are still pretty young in terms of the logistics that would require, but I mean, we're gonna get there, because we are trying to get a bit more partners and people who can help us with that, so that it stops just being like an urban. Like a lot of people say, how come I never hear about these concerts? I only see them after they. We're trying to make them open for to go to the grassroots, if I can call it that. But as it is right now, the shows are actually. We don't even have like a VIP section. We don't have VIP tickets. And that is one way in which everyone is just everyone in the show. So we try to make it very, as much as it's right now it's happening like in the urban areas, we try to still make it such that when you come, you interact with everyone.
Everybody. I like that.
Allan, well done. And make more and more people like you, come up and curate such things, create content, organize events where others it's just teaching about culture. Sit down around, a fire and let's talk about, just let people learn culture. Let people learn what names mean, for example. What does Bogwa mean?
Wamuni.
What does Wamuni mean? How do you get to Wamuni?
Wamuni.
Okay. How do you get to Wamuni?
I would love to share that story. I know it's not now. Latif is like, I'm about to go into our next space. But thank you, Allan.
Thank you, guys.
Allan Gitau is the founder of the Kikuyu Love Sessions. He's been here. We've been talking about this new renaissance among the youth, reconnecting with the culture and what that is doing across the country, and how important that is as we talk about fixing the nation, fixing ourselves, fixing our culture, fixing our identity. In the next hour, the X-Space onto broadcast begins. We'll be talking about the rollout of SHA. The CEO of the Social Health Authority will be here with us, but also we'll have other people joining in on the X-Space. We have the leadership of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, the union that is the Kenya Union